crash came out of nowhere. One moment, the sun was blazing over the Pacific, golden and serene, and the next, the sky turned into a raging beast. Lightning tore across the clouds, waves rose like living mountains, and the plane I was on, Flight 317 to Sydney, was swallowed by the storm. I remember the sound of metal screaming, the cold slap of rain through the broken fuselage, and the feeling of falling. Then darkness. When I opened my eyes, everything was still. The waves whispered against the sand, the air smelled of salt and smoke, and my entire body ached like it had been torn apart and put back together wrong. Pieces of the plane were scattered along the beach, bent metal, torn seats, broken dreams. I thought I was alone, the last echo of a tragedy that no one would ever find. But then I heard her voice, a faint trembling sound carried by the wind. I turned toward it and saw her, a woman, drenched, barefoot, her hair tangled with seaweed and sand. She was dragging a piece of luggage through the surf, her face pale but determined. That moment burned into my memory. The sheer will in her eyes, the kind that refused to give up even when the world already had. Her name was Evelyn. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in love that survives the impossible, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who might need hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories like this. For the first few days, survival was all that mattered. We scavenged whatever washed up. Some snack bars, a few bottles of water, and a shattered first aid kit. The island was wild and beautiful, yet merciless. Every sunrise brought heat that burned our skin. Every night brought a chill that crept into our bones. We built a shelter from branches and palm leaves, took turns watching the fire, and prayed that a rescue plane might see our smoke. Evelyn was strong, far stronger than I expected. She wasn't the kind of woman who complained or panicked. She moved with quiet determination, like someone who had faced storms long before this one. Yet I could see the pain behind her steady eyes, the way she stared at the horizon each morning, the way her hands trembled when she thought I wasn't looking. She told me she had been traveling for work, alone, trying to start over after a broken marriage. I never asked for details. Pain recognizes pain. It doesn't need explanations. Days turned into weeks. The wreckage faded under vines and sand, and we learned the rhythms of the island, the freshwater stream hidden behind the rocks, the fruit trees that ripened near the cliffs, the safe places to sleep when the wind grew fierce. But beneath the struggle, something else began to grow. It started small, sharing laughter over burnt coconuts, teasing each other about who was the worst fisherman, exchanging stories about our lives before the crash. She told me about her childhood in a small coastal town, about her father who taught her to swim, about the art studio she wanted to open one day. I told her about my job as a mechanic, about how I had been running from responsibilities I didn't know how to face. We found pieces of ourselves in each other, broken pieces that somehow fit. One evening, after a long day of searching the beach for anything useful, we sat by the fire watching the sun melt into the ocean. The light painted her face in gold, and for a moment, she didn't look like a survivor. She looked like someone who belonged to the earth itself, wild and free. I caught her looking at me, and she smiled, faint and hesitant. That night, the storm returned. The wind roared through the trees, tearing at our shelter, flinging sand like needles. We huddled together, clutching our soaked blanket, praying the fire wouldn't die. When lightning struck a nearby palm, she screamed and pressed into me, trembling. I held her, feeling her heartbeat racing against mine. When the storm finally calmed, silence fell heavy. The fire had died, but the air was still warm from our closeness. She looked up at me, her face streaked with rain and tears, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm just a woman," she said, her lips trembling, "and you're what I want." Her words broke through every wall I had built. In that moment, the island didn't exist. The plane crash didn't exist. Just two souls, lost and found in the same breath. I didn't answer her with words. I just held her, And for the first time in years, I felt alive again. The days after that were different. We weren't just surviving anymore, we were living. We found joy in the smallest things, catching rainwater in leaves, dancing barefoot under the stars, carving marks on a tree to count the days. Our laughter echoed through the forest like music. We didn't know if we'd ever be found, but it no longer felt like a curse. It felt like fate had given us a hidden corner of the world to heal in. But paradise doesn't last forever. One morning, while exploring deeper into the island, we found something. An old signal tower, half collapsed and rusted, but still standing. My heart raced. If we could fix it, maybe we could send a distress signal. Maybe someone would come. For the next several days, I worked tirelessly under the sun, scavenging metal from the wreckage, twisting wires, trying to breathe life into the dead machine. Evelyn watched me, proud but quiet. I thought she was just tired, until one night when she confessed what she had been hiding. She was sick. Before the crash, she had been undergoing treatment for a heart condition. The stress, the dehydration, the sleepless nights, it was all taking a toll. She had known for weeks but didn't want to tell me, didn't want to slow me down. Her face was pale under the moonlight, her breath shallow, but her eyes still held that same fierce light. I wanted to scream, to cry, to curse the world that had already taken everything from her. But she smiled and touched my hand. "Don't stop," she whispered. "If we have one chance to be found, you have to take it. Promise me." So I did. Every day after that, I worked like a man possessed. I fixed the tower, climbed to the top, and sent out the signal again and again. I didn't know if it would reach anyone, but I had to try. Meanwhile, Evelyn grew weaker. I carried her to the stream each morning, brought her fruit, told her stories to keep her laughing. She said she wanted to hear every dream I'd ever had, so I told her about all of them. The garage I wanted to open, the family I hoped to build, the simple life I used to take for granted. Then one morning she didn't wake up. The sky was gray, the air heavy. I called her name again and again, shaking her gently, begging her to open her eyes. But she was gone, just like that. The island, once alive with her laughter, fell silent. I buried her beneath the old palm tree where we used to sit and watch the sunsets. I carved her name into the trunk and placed a shell over the mound of sand. Then I sat beside her and watched the horizon, waiting for the world to notice what it had lost. For days I didn't eat or sleep, I just stared at the sea, lost between grief and madness. Then one night as I lay beside her grave, I saw a light in the distance, a faint flickering glow cutting through the darkness. I thought I was dreaming until I heard the sound of an engine, a rescue ship. They found me the next morning, half-starved and sunburnt. The rescuers asked how I survived so long, and I told them the truth. I wasn't alone. I had someone worth surviving for. When I returned home, people called it a miracle. But I never felt rescued. A part of me was still on that island, with her beneath the palms and the wind that carried her laughter. I rebuilt my life piece by piece. I opened the small workshop I'd always dreamed of, and above the door I carved her name, Evelyn's Promise. Every evening I close the shop early and drive to the coast. I sit by the water, watching the horizon burn gold and red, and I swear I can still hear her voice in the waves. "I'm just a woman, and you're what I want." And even though she's gone, I whisper back, "You were everything I needed." If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more stories of hope, loss, and love that stays even when everything else fades. Special request, comment below. Love never dies, it just changes shape. If you believe that real love lives on no matter where life takes us, because some love stories don't need forever, they just need one island, one chance, and two souls brave enough to believe.